In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to use Research Rabbit to start forming an outline for your literature review. So in this case, what I'm going to do is under my tutorial section here, I'm going to actually create a whole new collection for my literature review. And this allows me to decrease the amount of peripheral articles that I'm getting. So things that aren't really related to what I would create as my literature review story. And if you're struggling with how to, create your literature review at all, I'll leave a video linked above just to get you started on kind of the words I'm using here. So in this, I'm going to add in a new collection and I'm going to call it Steroid IMS Review. And I actually did write a review on steroid and IMS that came out in like 2019. So like there's a lot that's been going on the field after that. So this is kind of looking at like what I would do if I was writing an updated review on that. So I can click in here, and the first thing I'm going to do is add in papers. And so if you're working in a field, this is one of the reasons I recommend not trying to write a literature review as like a first year grad student when you're just learning your field. You probably know a few of the papers that are really key to this area. And what you want to do is now expand out. And once you've determined your topic, what are the main papers that you'd want to cover within that topic? So what I'm going to do is start by adding in papers, and I want to add in very select papers that are really, really going to be the meat of what I think my literature review is going to be. And then I'm going to let Research Rabbit do the work to find the other papers I need to be pulling into this literature review. So while these are a little bit older papers, I'm going to do steroid ion mobility analysis. So I'm going to click search and I'm searching in all subject areas. So what I'm specifically going to be looking for are things that just used steroids with ion mobility. So I'm going to add in this one. This is one of my own papers. I want to add that into the collection. This is another one of my papers, but I used liquid chromatography in this, and I want this literature review to focus on just ion mobility, kind of moving forward. So again, I'm looking for those that don't have the liquid chromatography aspect. So this paper is one that I reported on before, and I really want to do a more recent. So I'm kind of looking for some of the ones that I did in my other literature review. So this is another one. And again, I'm keeping this really, really tight. I'm not adding in all the things that I've shown in other Research Rabbit tutorials, primarily because I want this to specifically only be looking at a smaller set of papers. So this is another one that's a little bit newer. And then this one is starting to get into conjugates of steroids. So I'm not going to include that one. So that's going to be all the papers that I include for now. And I'm going to click exit out. So now what I want to do is start understanding what are the other papers I really should be including in a review. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explore more papers and I'm going to click similar work here. And so what this does is it gives me this kind of tree here or this network graph. What I'm now looking at is I want to start clicking on some things and start determining what is going on in these different groupings around here. So if I click around here, this doesn't include steroids. It's just looking at the evaluation of collision cross sections. This is another collision cross section. So it looks like this down here is probably not where I want to be. That's mainly just talking about collision cross sections. Now that could be really good as a background section of my literature review, but I'm just looking for my literature review story right now. So then I'm going to come over here. Okay, so now we have, this is with liquid chromatography here. So this is looking at cation adducts in FAMES IMS. This is one thing that I want to add in. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. So I'm looking for things that are super specific to being steroid and IMS. This is getting more broad in the types of molecules it's studying out. Come up here. This one is specific. That was in my previous review as well. This one is specific as well. So this one adds back in the LC. I don't want that one. That's a conjugate. More conjugates. So you can see the conjugates kind of linked together. So this is metabolites. So now I want to come back up here. There's this kind of tree off here. So that's a review. Are all of these reviews? Nope. So this looks like more steroid related. Yeah, this is all steroid kind of background. I'm not seeing a ton of actual specific work. This should get added in. That's all that is really specific to what I want my review to cover. So I'm going to come back. So I'm going to exit out of the similar work and come back to here. So I'm going to click connection show here. So this is going to kind of show me the connections between these. And I kind of want to look at this is derivatization methods. What I'm trying to do here is now see what are the different themes that are going on here. So this is also a derivatization methods paper. This is a metal adduction. So I'm kind of looking at these different names, and I can also look at them from here as well. So basically what it looks like, if I'm just looking at the titles here, you can see this cluster up here is a lot of just metal adduction papers. So we see like sodiated appearing a lot, metals, all of that up there. So this one is ozone induced. So it is some form of reaction or derivatization that's occurring there. This is a cation adduct again, so, like, this one I would pull up over here, and so I can kind of move these around to determine what really makes the most sense here, right? So, basically, after reading all of these titles, I can see that I really have kind of 3 major themes going on here. The first thing is using metal adduction to separate things through ion mobility. The second theme is using derivatization or some type of reaction. The third theme is how are these things getting into clinical analysis? So there was one in here, if I look, that talked about clinical analysis as well. Yeah, so towards a routine analysis. So any of the ones that are having a routine analysis, clinical analysis, basically this has allowed me to pull in a bunch of papers that I might not even known existed using a Research Rabbit's connections that it's doing through similar work. And then from this, what I want to do is I want to actually look at this in a timeline. Because now I'm thinking, okay, I have 3 main themes I want to talk about. How, in what ways am I talking about those? So we can see that the first one here is just kind of a general application one. This one might even go into my background information. And then we see that we have a derivatization one here. And then it seems like the field really goes to metal ion adduction more so. And then as we get later on, we come back into the derivatization. So what I would likely probably do now is I would create 3 categories. So I'm going to write out, so I'm just going to open up a Word document and do kind of review outline. And so I'm going to, first thing I would talk about is going to be metal adduction for separation of steroids. The second thing is I would do derivatization of separation of steroids, and then I would do application of IMS in steroid analysis. And so those are overall, my main 3 topics. So my main headings in my paper are going to be these 3 main headings. So from using this, I can now download this out, and I'll leave a link above for how to download this and put it into a Notion template. And then I can start structuring out my review using these papers. If you are also working on writing your own research articles, go ahead and download my scientific research paper checklist. It will be available in a link in the description below. It's basically a checklist that walks you through step by step how to write your research article. I really hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.